We sustain misalignment by distracting ourselves instead of, becoming in alignment and being present. We always are. That's why I think the pandemic was so hard for so many people, because we had to stop and we couldn't do anything. So a lot of people lost their minds. I mean, alcohol sales rose crazy. Weed sales rose crazy. I mean, it was crazy because people didn't know how to face themselves. They didn't know how to stop. So all these things, you really have to realize, why are you doing the things you're doing? Are you doing them for healthy reasons, or are you doing them because you're trying to soothe something within you that's not whole? Right. That's what I always ask people. What is your purpose of this busyness? Because successful people even have it. People that are very successful. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're never satisfied. Not everybody, but a lot of people have that problem. They'll keep chasing and chasing and chasing. And that's the stimulus, keeping yourself distracted, and you'll never be happy with what you have, ever.
Welcome to Far Out with Faust, everybody. I am Faust Chicho, and today I'm very excited to be joined by Elisabeth Hoekstra. Let me tell you about this powerful, amazing woman and what she's been up to. She's spent time as a model, an actress, a highly successful real estate agent, a certified chef, a mental health advocate, and a philanthropist, the real kind, not the Bill Gates kind that is fake. She's a host of a phenomenal podcast called Biohack Your Best Life, and I highly recommend it. And that's on a channel and network that I just can't get enough of, Billy Carson's Forbidden Knowledge TV. Speaking of which, Elisabeth is the vortex for all things Forbidden Knowledge TV, as she is the director of operations for that burgeoning media empire. She's also officially an author, as her first book came out this year, and that's called The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness. And I'm super excited to have you on the show, Elisabeth. Thank you so much for beaming in.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a great introduction. I didn't know you knew all that stuff.
Thank you. It took me a while to get it all, because you got so much going on and you've been so busy.
Yeah. My life is full of a lot of diversity. It's been really, really great. And thanks for saying my last name correctly too. A lot of people have a lot of trouble with that, but you spit that out perfectly.
I got it. Well, with a name like mine, you kind of have to, you really have to do, I do my due diligence on names, because my name's been, people pronounce between the first and the last it wrong my whole life. So,
right.
Yeah.
Wait, say it again. Fred.
Well, it's Faust. It's Faust Chicho. Yeah, but the spelling on my last name is crazy, so I don't really blame people for that.
No, I love it. That's a great name.
Thank you.
Chicho.
Thank you so much.
It is recorded. But yes. I have been in a lot of different industries. I feel almost like, man, if I don't know, I enter an industry and I have a goal and I reach that goal. And as soon as I reach that goal, it's like I get bored and I move on. So that's kind of why I've dove into a lot of different things. Yeah. I
hear you. I just thought the best place to begin with you would, and you tell me if you're comfortable with this. I know that your listeners and fans know a lot about you, and I'm excited to introduce you to mine. You have overcome a tremendous amount of trauma, and you've transcended it and really made an amazing life for yourself. And there's a lot of people who I know who are struggling with that. Some of them don't even realize that is the cause of their struggle. Many of them, I should say. But I know that it's something that you have come to know and realize about yourself. And so I want to mine you for all the gold that you have to offer, because I know it can help people. So I want to definitely start with the fact that, so you found out, I think that you had a sense of this, but, you were adopted. Okay. Yeah. And I think it took you a long time to find out that alone is a traumatic event. A lot of people, this may be controversial to say, but, when you found out, what was that like for you?
Well, so I knew I was adopted because my parents are whites, but it wasn't, growing up, I didn't look at myself like I was adopted because I had just known what I'd known. Just like
Right.
people, when they're conditioned, it's like, you don't know
Of
anything
course.
outside of what you're conditioned to. So I didn't feel, I don't know, I didn't feel any different. I felt like my parents were always my parents, but I wondered why I was so angry all the time. And I was angry as a young child. I'm talking, I was 2, 3 years old. I can remember myself, and I would have these terrible tantrums where I would just bang my arms on the floor and bang my legs, and no one could calm me down. It was, my parents learned to just leave me in the room and then
Yeah.
wait until I fell asleep. And I got so exhausted from all my tantrums that I would just pass out basically. Later in life, I found out that was the worst thing that you could have done at that moment in my life.
Yeah.
Because, I entered this dimension, being abandoned, right?
Yes.
Which all adoptees really.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That I feel like that would, I mean, when you come to realize that, yes, I'm adopted and I never realized, but that was probably the first source of trauma in your life. And then obviously the reverberations that happened throughout your life, I think, but I just know for me, when I found out that, I remember sitting in a psychiatrist's office as a younger man. I'm not quite as I'm older than I look. Let me just say that. But I remember when I like learning about the fact that it's not normal for it's actually abuse for parents to like beat the shit out of their kids. And because you don't know, I was told I was a bad kid always, and so whatever you call the kind of abuse that is physical, was very common. I mean, commonplace growing up. And I remember learning that is actually abuse. And I was like, and then I remembered learning that my parents were supposed to be emotional role models, and my jaw hit the ground for about, I don't know, 8 months. Because I was like, how am I going to get over this? Yeah. I am so fucked. But it was a shock to me. I remember my psychiatrist was like, yes, it's abuse. And I was like, my God, it makes sense, but I had no idea. Yeah.
Well, you only know what you know. So you don't know any other way. So, I mean, just like for you, it was like a smack in the face almost. I mean, people told me all through my life that I had trauma because I was adopted. I was like, stop it. No, I don't. I don't have any trauma because I was adopted. My parents never abandoned me, but I always wonder, why do I have these abandonment issues?
Yeah.
It was so wild. All my life, I would feel so triggered, and I would literally feel like I was dying inside if someone would walk away from me, even during a fight, because I felt like that person was going to abandon me. So throughout all my childhood, teenage, and 20s, I had these serious abandonment issues that I had no idea where they even stem from.
Wow.
So coming to the realization, I think I was 30, probably 28, 29, 30 years old when I realized that, wow, I think I do have trauma attached to this.
It's like, oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I did some deep shadow work, and I actually re-experienced my birth because I wanted to. So here's for you too. I mean, it's a conscious memory that you had, of you and your parents, and that's conscious, but then you have to kind of put 2 and 2 together from a child mind to an adult mind and look back on that child, like, this wasn't right, as your adult mind. So now for me, I wanted to put together a conscious memory of me as that young child and know exactly, okay, I felt like this and this caused me trauma. So I did some work, and I did some regression work and actually experienced my whole birth process over again. And I felt every single emotion coming out of my mother's womb. And, I felt it all. It was so deep. I came out of the womb, and all I wanted was my mother to embrace me and look in my eyes and just hold me. That's all I desperately wanted, that as a tiny little baby. But all I can remember is that the nurses took me away and I never got to see her. So that there put a conscious memory and a conscious feeling to now I can fully understand, oh, wow, I was abandoned when I was a tiny little baby. And that is one of the first experiences that I had in this earthly dimension. So it's like, wow, boom, that's how my life started.
So I met Elisabeth at the conference for consciousness and human evolution a few weeks ago, and we both had the pleasure of hearing Bruce Lipton speak. I mean, amazing, man. If you don't know who Bruce Lipton is, by God, look him up and consume everything you can about him. He's incredible. But he talked about this and how responsible we have to be as parents, especially when there's a baby in the womb, not just from the external and the amount of toxicity and everything these days, but your thoughts are translated to that little baby's body, literally through all the chemicals and the fact that it's an extension of the mom. And so like not just the thoughts, but then after the birth, and there's so much that goes into it, and the disruptive nature of when things happen in that fragile period can have lifelong repercussions, and we never really knew that on a scientific level, but now it's really starting to show itself. Yeah. And go ahead.
The stress hormones from your mom, if your mom is really, really stressed out, they cross the placenta at halfway through pregnancy. So your baby is feeling all of it halfway through the development process in your mother's womb, which I also did some different regression work. And I didn't mean to do it this time, but I was going for somato-emotional release work, which is body work. Basically, she works on you at my practitioner works on me at a cellular level, because your cells remember everything, even when you consciously don't. So she put her hands on my stomach and I regressed back. It was like I got a wave of memory, and it was like I was back in my mother's womb and I could feel her stress, and I could feel her. It was almost disgust. She didn't want me, and she was very upset. So that also, even though these are painful things to discover and find out, it really put 2 and 2 together for me and really created some healing, because I could finally put a conscious memory and a conscious feeling to, okay, well, this is why I feel like this. And now I understand. So just the pure understanding is,
I mean, knowledge is power. Understanding, is knowledge and then we have wisdom, and that's where wisdom comes from. So it takes a tremendous amount of bravery to do this kind of, it's, shadow work is a very popular term for it. I don't know what else to call it. It's not the most, it's not a game of volleyball on the beach, but the rewards are infinite. And when you start to understand, if you're like me, and I know I have this in common with Elisabeth. I heard about, just the more I learn about you, I'm laughing, because your rebellious nature reminds me very much of myself. I was very much the same way. I was leading the charge, and I was a handful of trouble, and just insatiable with whatever I could get my hands on, I would consume in large doses. And I was listening to you, tell your story, and I was like, wow, it's a good thing I didn't bump into you, because we would have gotten a lot of trouble. But, we talk about addiction, and a lot of people still think that it comes from the sky. No, it comes from that, that great big void that is left from trauma, from neglect, from abuse. Addiction doesn't come from, it's not just a habit, and it's not just a disease, whatever you want to call it. In all of its shapes, it is a way to fill that void. And I know that you struggled a lot in your youth as well.
Yeah. I actually, let me see here. The first cigarette I smoked, I think I was 11 or 12. I started drinking at 11. I tried to smoke weed, but I thought it was okay. So it was sage, and I thought it was cool. And I was like smoking sage. And I'm like, yeah, I'm high, but
the spirituality in your life was destined.
So yeah, I mean, I started young,
Yeah.
which also, as my adult mind, I look back on my younger years. I'm like, wow, how much pain was I really in for a little tiny 11, 12-year-old to grab some alcohol and try to drink it. So what I realized is that I was trying to self-soothe throughout my whole entire childhood, my whole entire teenage years. And through that self-soothing mechanism, trying to fill the void, just like you said, I mean, I got addicted to drugs, and I got addicted to drama, because once you start, first of all, when you don't have a full sense of love for self, you feel empty. You don't feel worthy, and you create unconsciously situations in your life that will prove that thought right all the time. So I didn't have any type of confidence in myself. I thought I did. I put on the act like I did. I was always very good at putting on the act.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, but the inner world it was empty, right? So I kept creating more situations and more situations to prove to myself that you're nothing and you deserve this abuse that you're getting. I was in abusive relationship after abusive relationship after abusive. I mean, it was a spiral of negativity because I didn't feel worthy. I was not in love with myself, and I was stuffed up and full of trauma, and I was using anything I possibly could. Drugs are just one of the things. I mean, I was shopping, I was traveling, I was trying to stay as busy as possible. I mean, I would have photo shoots from 5 a.m. until the next morning at 5, 24 hours shooting, just diving into work so I could keep my thoughts away from facing what was really inside. So that's what a lot of
it becomes an addiction in and of itself.
Exactly.
You got to be so mindful because the subconscious is so sneaky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We sustain misalignment by distracting ourselves instead of becoming in alignment and being present. We always are. That's why I think the pandemic was so hard for so many people, because we had to stop and we couldn't do anything. So a lot of people lost their minds. I mean, alcohol sales rose crazy. Weed sales rose crazy. I mean, it was crazy because people didn't know how to face themselves. They didn't know how to stop. So all these things, you really have to realize, why are you doing the things you're doing? Are you doing them for healthy reasons, or are you doing them because you're trying to soothe something within you that's not whole? Right. That's what I always ask people. What is your purpose of this busyness? Because successful people even have it. People that are very successful. I mean, they're never satisfied. Not everybody, but a lot of people have that problem. They'll keep chasing and chasing and chasing. And that's the stimulus, keeping yourself distracted, and you'll never be happy with what you have ever. So it's like you're climbing a mountain your entire life that you'll never get to the top. So.
And I think that some of the most tortured people are some of the richest. I mean, clearly their actions speak louder than some of their words. I see it often. And there's no amount of money that's going to buy you. You see people who get to the very top of, particularly in athletes who remain kind of unhealed, unintegrated. You see them that there's a literal crash and burn. I mean, because they haven't done the work. Actors too. I see it all the time. And people are, like Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robin Williams. These guys, they're the top of their field. They've won every award known to man. And what's going on with them? They have not worked it out. They still have so much work to do on themselves. Because if they had done that, then they wouldn't have taken their own lives. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. I mean, if you look from the outside in my life, I look so successful. I look like I was living every girl's dream. I mean, I was on red carpets and I was in movie theaters and on TV and 106 and Park, BET Jams. I mean, all of these things, I had so much success, but really on the inside, I was full of turmoil. Yeah. I mean, I was having fun, but how much fun can you really have when all you're doing is getting high at parties? Is that really fun? I mean, it's not really present. You're not really present. You're gone. So, I mean, it's an interesting thing. What people put their intent behind that word success is really interesting. Just like you said, it's really interesting because what really is success? Is success Robin Williams? I mean, he's an A-list actor. He had made all the money in the world. He's super famous. Yeah. That's a life that people would beg for, right? But inside, he didn't do the work and he was filled up with trauma. Yeah. So, I mean, is that success? What is success, right?
I know. I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman, he won an Academy. He won a Tony Award. The guy was impeccable and everyone loved him. Everyone loved him. But clearly he had some serious skeletons in the closet. I mean, you don't pick up that amount of heroin for, just to get high. When you pick up that amount of heroin, you're trying to call it quits. I mean, and so that speaks to the fact that, no matter how much success you have in the material world, if you do not work it out with yourself and find that self-love that is unshakable, it's not going to matter. You're not going to be truly happy at the end. These guys had families. They had kids who loved them. None of it was enough to stop them from taking their life. And that's because they didn't shine a light in the shadows. And I tell people all the time, it's not going to magically heal itself. You're going to have to face it. You're going to have to do the work in this life or the next. That's why we're here, right? And you are a perfect living example of that, Elisabeth. That's why I was excited to have you on the show.
Yeah. I was pretty crazy back in the day.
Yeah, you were. I was listening to your stories. I was listening to Billy react to your stories. I was cracking up because Billy's like, "Oh man."
Yeah, no, it was crazy because when he first met me, he's like, "What?" He's like,
Yeah.
"No, that wasn't you at all. You're crazy. That's not you." But then he met all my friends. He met my mom, and he was like, "Wow, you really did all these things."
Yeah.
I'm like, But I've done the work, the hard work. And people ask, "What is the work?" Right? It's not just, okay, I'm acknowledging that I have trauma. That's step one. That's a part of it. But it's an engulfing lifestyle, to be honest. I mean, you have to really, really not only go deep within yourself and get conscious and aware of where things are at within your mind, but you have to work it out of your body. You have to do body work. You have to do energy work. You got to do mental health work. It's all combined because you can go to therapy, and that can be very, very beneficial and helpful for a lot of people. But that doesn't help your physical body and your cellular memory. It does not fix your cellular memory. So when you have that trigger, boom, your physical body will react to that trigger.
That's right.
So there's nothing that your mental can kind of quiet that response in your physiology down, but it doesn't stop your physiology and your body from reacting and going into fight or flight and going into a stress state. It doesn't like that. You can't turn it off. These are just reactions from these beautiful vessels that we have that are so very intelligent. They're always trying to protect us. But sometimes in this crazy world we live in today, people are stuck. They're stuck in these stress responses. And that's not a good thing.
It's not. The body is a record of the past. You think that you store your trauma in your mind, and you do to a degree, but that's the feeling. They're cellular. They're in the body. Yeah. I mean, sometimes quite literally in some parts of the body. Everybody is different, but that's where they live. And look, I started off in talk therapy, and that's where I figured out, just how dysfunctional my family was, because I had no idea. Just like you, I was like, what do you mean? I got two parents. They raised me. They gave me, they provided for me. They love me. I mean, like, what do you want? I was a terrible kid. That's what I thought. That's what I was taught. It's the parental paradox. You don't know anything other than what you're taught until you start learning, right? And most people, unfortunately, don't make it past that, and it's because it's painful, and we're programmed to steer away from pain, whether it be physical or emotional or whatever. It's kind of a natural. You have to kind of become supernatural to override it and to face it.
Well, what I tell people is that when you're feeling these emotions aren't negative. There's no negative emotions. Emotions are just signals, and we should really feel very grateful and happy that we have these things called emotions, because really, when we incarnate in this dimension, that's all we have is the way we feel, right? Because we experience everything inside us. Okay. So you don't love because of the other person. You create all of that love inside of your physical body, and those feelings you're having inside of your physical body. So nothing on this outer world, none of this stimulus will ever make you feel any specific way. It's you that are creating all of these ways that you're feeling, right? So what I tell people is that when you go through these negative things and you have this, you feel depressed or anxious, just observe it in your physical body. Where are you having that feeling? Where are you feeling depressed? Anytime my son, I have a 9-year-old, anytime he's feeling depressed or upset about something, my first question to him is always, where do you feel that in your body?
Yeah.
You feel sadness. Where is that? Oh, it's in your gut. Just focus on that. Focus on that feeling and tell your body that you're safe. Tell your mind that you're safe and it's okay. And it's okay to have these emotions. That's a good start to healing yourself, because we're taught and conditioned that anxiety is bad. Depression is bad. Being angry is bad. But really, they're just signals. They're signals that your body is giving you that something in your outer exterior world is not going quite very well, or it's not mixing with you in the right way. So it's for you to go internal and inner and face your inner self and realize, okay, what is this reason? Why am I feeling like this about this situation? I get very, very conscious and aware when I have these negative, I hate calling them negative feelings, but depressed or anxious. I really, really go within and try to figure out what's going on in my exterior world that is making me feel like this. And is it due to stimulus in my exterior world at that very moment, or is it due to something that I experienced back when I was 6 years old? So it's really go introspective. That's a really, really big step in the healing process, is really disconnecting from that emotion. Mm-hmm.
And you know, a good litmus test in real time is the ouch equal to the pinch, right? Is my reaction, like, if you could just take a quick kind of put yourself in like a 10-foot perspective of what just happened and ask yourself, is my blood pressure that far up over this little thing that just happened? Maybe it is. Maybe it is truly in the moment, but there's a possibility, a good possibility, that your reaction is a memorized reaction, and that's something about whatever just happened, whether it was the tone of voice, triggered a memory, triggered a response in the body. Oftentimes, that fight or flight response is an absolute triggered, memorized response. And so what's it from? Who knows? Like that's another question. It could be from a number of things. It could be from a whole lifetime of conditioning. But that's the work, the trigger work. I love when you talk about trigger work, Elisabeth. I mean, and I'd love for you to talk about it here, because you echo myself very much. And when you say, I've seen you post about it and talk about it in your podcast, like if you're not working on your triggers, what are you doing? What work are you doing if you're not? Because that is the work. That is the work. That is the healing work, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, you have triggers for specific reasons and they're attached to trauma. So, once you can learn to really control your triggers, that makes you a very, very, very powerful being, because you can't let anybody control you. You control yourself. That's why I quit smoking cigarettes. I didn't want anything exterior to control me ever. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm just done with this, because I don't want to have these cravings and anything external control me. So one day I was like, boom, I'm done. I'm just done, because I want to be in full control of myself. So when you get in control of your triggers, you are a powerful, powerful being, because that means nobody can scratch at your surface and spike you and control you and get that reaction that some people desperately want out of you. I mean, it's really crazy, because, when people are filled up with trauma and drama, they like trauma and drama almost. It's
whether they want to admit it or not.
Yes, exactly. So they'll try to poke at people and try to get that same reaction out of you. But when you can control that and you can just sit there like, I'm happy, they're like, I'm good over here. I mean, that's a really, really powerful place to be. A really powerful place to be. So, throughout my years of doing this healing work, I've really noticed my triggers diminish and diminish and diminish. And the more body work that I do, wow, I hardly even have real big triggers anymore. Yeah. I mean, I used to have terrible road rage. If you have road rage, that means that you are filled up with anxiety, stress, and probably trauma. And you need to go ahead and try to work that out of your physical body, because I used to have it terrible. I couldn't even drive down the street without getting mad because it was too slow.
You were probably pretty hot tempered. I was very hot tempered. I had a terrible temper. I mean, yes. I don't anymore. I mean, I vanquished it, but
Yes.
it was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have terrible tempers, what is that? That's just trauma.
My
You
God.
have to work it out of your body. What really helped me work this trauma out of my body is this somato-emotional release work, craniosacral, trauma release exercise work. These things really helped get this trauma out of my physical body. So now when someone cuts me off, my physical body doesn't react anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
they're probably
Go ahead. If you're in such a rush, please.
exactly. I hope you're safe. Now I try to send people really good energy because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I road rage is extremely dangerous. And if people would realize it's only due to anger and anxiety within your body, and you can get rid of it. I mean, listen, I just heard about a story that this lady cut off this other lady, and she drove up to her car and shot her in the face.
Jesus.
With
Jeez.
her 3 kids in the back seat. The lady
My
that
God.
shot the other lady had 3 kids in the back seat. I'm like, wow,
That is road rage.
Exactly. And we could be avoiding these things. We could avoid all of it. All of this trauma, all of this craziness manifesting all over this planet is due to people's unresolved issues.
It absolutely is, and I keep talking about this, and I know you'll understand it. Unless we deal with these traumas, we're going to keep bringing them into our lives. As a society, and that's why I think these conversations are so important to have, because the more awareness people have of just how crucial this is at this time on the planet, and that if we don't get it together pretty quickly collectively, that we're going to keep down this path that is totally, there's a lot of dis-ease, not just in the population, but on the, in the earth itself. And we have to get it together so that we can stop. But there's no need for it. We have the technology and the understanding already, but there's some systems in place that, are finally shaking, and God willing will crumble very soon, that are just completely oppressive, and they're totally monetary. They're all for, basically a gain of function, to use an apropos word or phrase to describe what they're doing and with what, right? They're creating systems to make money and keep people in fear.
I'm so far against, not, I wouldn't say against, but I just the third leading cause of death in this country.
Oh, do I ever? Yeah. But tell everybody, please.
Yeah. The third leading cause of death in this country, in America, is going to the doctor.
That's right.
Think about this. So back in the 1940s, 20s, 30s, back in the day, you would go to the doctor for what? An acute injury. Maybe you had issues with pregnancy. There wasn't urgent cares on every corner. There wasn't huge hospitals on every corner. And they didn't have technology like we do these days, right? Now we have all of this advanced technology. We have hospitals everywhere, urgent cares everywhere, and we're the sickest we've ever been.
That's right.
The sickest. So what does that tell you? Something isn't right. Something is going wrong. And I think it's due to a lot of different factors. One of the biggest being that we got disconnected from Mother Earth back in the 1960s, 1970s, when they invented synthetic soled shoes and slapped rubber on the bottoms of our shoes. So we got disconnected from the Earth's surface, which provides us the electrons, the negative ions that our body needs to be able to put out information. So now we're
talking about grounding, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am. I love it. But if you look at a graph of a scale on shoe sales of rubber-soled shoes, it goes up on the same scale as diabetes, autoimmune disease. So you look at these people, these sick people these days. I don't think it's only due to being disconnected from the earth. I mean,
right.
There's a crap load of toxicity in our air, in our food. We don't even have the right nutrients in our food anymore because our soil's dead. So
yeah, and we've GMO'd the rest of what we didn't knock out with the soil, we GMO'd out of the plants to deal with the soil, the dirt, I should say. Exactly. It's a problem, It's a
huge problem, and it's a perfect storm. We can't ground out the inflammation in our bodies anymore. And what's the basis of autoimmune disease? It's inflammation. So we're all walking around the sickest we've ever been, with the most money that we've ever had, with the most advancements in technology that we've ever experienced. And we are literally the sickest we've ever been.
That's right.
Backwards.
Billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to the fight towards cancer. We're fighting cancer. Yeah, okay, sure.
But they come up with a magic poke.
Yeah, exactly. Give me a break. I mean, it's how naive. And I was there 15 years ago. I mean, I didn't really think about it too much, but I was thinking about a lot of other things. But the people are very naive about this country that we live in and kind of what's going on. And that's all I'll say about that. But if you think that after, I don't know how many years, how many hundreds of billions of dollars, that cancer is just something that we can't cure, then you haven't been paying attention to what human beings are capable of when we put our minds to something. We're capable of incredible things. We can accomplish just about anything we put our minds to. So it's not that the cure has never been found. It's definitely been found over and over and over again, but you haven't heard about it on the news, and you won't hear about it on the news, because you're going to hear about the latest and greatest 30,000 side effect medicine that they want you to ask your doctor about on the news, in between the news. It's all sponsored by the same companies. But that was my rant. Yeah.
Sick and healthy, so you can keep coming back for their pills every month and paying.
Look, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a system set up by literally the pharmaceutical companies. The textbooks are written by the same people who own the pharmaceutical companies. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a fact. The Rockefeller Foundation, the same oil tycoons that, the first kind of billionaire class of America, they started petroleum pharmaceuticals. They had petroleum, they had the oil monopoly, and it all comes from the same companies. They started just Google who started the American Medical Association. It's the Rockefellers. They wrote the book. Cancers were popping up, from the industrial age. Pharmaceuticals were a perfect solution. They propagandized against all holistic and naturopathic medicine. They got rid of midwives. Everything was going to be done so they could make $1. And, you could argue about that all day, but I don't blame the doctors. The doctors are trained to do things, and they do those things well. They don't really ask questions. And, if you need surgery, my God, go to a doctor. If you have an appendicitis, go to a doctor. They're incredible. They're great, but everything else, it's the third leading cause of death, like Elisabeth said.
Yeah. Well, we were conditioned to have so much faith in these systems, and it's just, our brains were kind of wiped. It's like, why do we let these people, these strangers that we don't even know, that have known us for 5 minutes, tell us and dictate to us more about our bodies than we know about our own bodies that we've had our whole lives? Like,
literally.
But that's the system. The system conditioned us that we're supposed to go to the doctor the minute we feel sick or see a symptom of something, that we're supposed to trust in these people. So it's very hard to break that conditioning. And they've also conditioned us that holistic remedies are crazy.
Yeah. Alternative. Pseudoscience. Yes. Pseudoscience.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, how could you? And people look at me a little bit crazy because I do all these biohacking things. I search for these alternative remedies, and I put into practice these things. And my friends that are in the system, that have been conditioned in the way and haven't broke free from that matrix, look at me like I'm a psychopath. And I'm like, dude, I'm over here manifesting my best life I've ever felt in my life. It's like, come on.
So you said that for you, really, some of the things that really helped you were, you said craniosacral was one, right?
Yeah, craniosacral body work, somato-emotional body work. That's probably the biggest.
Were there specific kinds that were a little more successful for you, for people who are listening, who can really kind of like maybe look into it?
Yeah. The somato-emotional release work is really, really amazing. The body worker that I have, I always tell people you need to find somebody that is good and that you trust, because you are really dedicating your physical body to this person. And if your
Mhm.
physical body doesn't fully 100% trust the person that's working on you, you're not going to get the benefit from whatever they're
Yeah.
doing for you. So the somato-emotional release work, it's been amazing in helping me remove a lot of the anger. I have a ton of anger. I still have a
Hmm.
lot that I'm working through, but that's from years and years of playing I'm perfect and I never get mad and I'm the fun and I'm the life of the party and stuff like that. So I have years and years of compiled anger. So she's been
Yeah.
able to really, really help work that out of my cellular memory. So that has been very, very beneficial for me. Also, grounding, like we kind of touched on
Hmm.
earlier, grounding has been really amazing for me because it really does shift the body out of fight or flight. It brings your nervous system from sympathetic back into parasympathetic. So you can't be grounded and be angry at the same time. I dare you to try. Go
Right.
outside if you're angry and sit on the ground, sit in a cross-legged position, hands and feet, bottoms of the feet on the earth. Sit there
Hmm.
for 30 minutes and see if you still feel the same way afterwards.
Yeah.
I dare you to try.
Just breathe and sit there. Make contact with the earth with as much of your body as you are comfortable with, and see what
That's
happens.
Yes, exactly. And we also partnered with the Earthing Company by Clint Ober, who actually
Oh,
rediscovered
nice.
grounding, yeah, in the late 1990s. We partnered with them and we help, disperse their products. And anyone that I've ever told about grounding has gotten products, it has told me that it's changed their life,
Yeah.
literally. I mean, it changed Billy's life. It changed my life. Anyone that I make ground, because no one believes me. I'm like, stick this patch on you. It's going to feel
Yeah.
good. You're like, yeah, okay, whatever. So anyone that I've ever done that for, though, has come back to me like, wow, I feel so great and different. The pain's gone. There's so, I can actually sleep. I mean,
Mm,
it's the benefits are crazy, and you don't have to get the products. It's free. You can go outside and put your feet
that's
in the
right.
grass. You don't have to
Unless you
buy
live
it.
in the city, and then you got to find a park.
That's true. That's true. Well, concrete is grounded, so it's conductive. So you
That's
can
true. Yeah. But I think grass is probably a little better.
yeah.
Grass, the beach would be ideal. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
moving out of the city. I live in New York City. I've been living there for 20 years, but I'm finally
Oh,
moving.
wow.
I'm literally moving out in, let's see, it's 4 days, 5 days.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm
awesome.
moving down south. I'm moving to Georgia.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could never live in New York.
I mean, it was cool I love the city for the longest time, but then 2020 rearranged everything for me. It did me so many favors. 2020 did, I mean, I know it was a tough time. But for me, I really was able to rid myself of my identity issues, like I was an actor for 20 years and a filmmaker, and, a lot of experience and a lot of success. And, God, but I was so wrapped up in that external validation. I look back on it, I'm like, my God, all I wanted was like, the things that I thought I wanted. I'm so glad to be free of that, and I'm just doing what I love now, and it's just so much more meaningful to me. It's so much more real. That world is so fake.
This is very fake.
Yeah, it's
You have to have a
incredibly superficial.
strong hold on you and who you are to even do that, because you can kind of lose yourself in these roles, in these
That's the other
acting roles.
thing.
Yeah. So
Scary. I mean,
yeah,
and knowing what I know now, and I used to play. I mean, it may come as a surprise to you after even our brief conversation, but I used to play some really fucked up people, like, with a lot of substance abuse problems and
yeah.
depression, and and I would, I'm not going to say that I was a method actor, but I've always skirted the line. And it's not, I don't want to think those thoughts. I just enjoying myself too much. When you kind of come into a homeostasis that is content, and filled with joy and love and peace, then you don't really want to trade that. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't, even if I got a role, like, I don't want to play someone who's dying and have to, like, think though, you know what I mean? Because I know the power of my thoughts now. I know how, and the more I can put my belief in something, the more that I'm going to usher it into my life. So I don't, what if I get this role that, I mean, I'm going to be shit scared to even attempt it.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, that's why I said you have to have a real strong hold on who you are and what you were about. Because I
Yeah.
can compare my acting life way back when I was 21 to now where I'm playing, back when I was 21, I was on this movie set. It was a boat and I played the crazy drunk girl and I was actually drunk.
Yeah.
Right. So I was literally just drunk walking around and I'm playing the drunk girl
She's
and
like,
I'm
she's
just
really good. You see her?
exactly right. So I was amazing at that role. I was
Yeah.
great, obviously, right? But I just filmed the scene maybe probably about 2 months ago now, and I was playing a drunk girl, and I was on drugs, and I was drunk, and I was actually beating my boyfriend. He was beating me. So, but now I have such a strong hold on who I am
Yeah.
that the bottle had water in it.
Right.
So I mean, it doesn't affect me in the same way. I don't feel like I need these substances to
Oh,
perform
yeah.
any duties, which is what I thought back in the day. I was like, I can never be the life of the party if I'm not wasted with everybody else, or I can never do that role as well if I'm not drunk. I have to have a little
I
drink,
used to do the same
fun
thing.
or take the edge off. Yeah, but I don't. I'm so confident in who I am now that I would never in a million years ever even think about going into a professional set and being messed up on some sort of alcohol or
Right.
drugs. Like I can't even imagine that anymore.
Yeah. No, I used to be the same way. Yeah. And it's funny. I remind myself, I had a friend who produced a film with me. He's not an actor at all, but we needed we needed someone to play the corpse, right? There's a scene where this dude is kind of strung up and he's dead, but he's got a bag over his head. It was a crime thriller we made. And he was so nervous. And he was like, yeah, they were like, will you do it? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then he was like, fuck, what did I sign up for? I'm like, dude, you just have to play dead. He was like, I can't do it. I'm too nervous. He's like, yeah, where are my Xanax? I'm like, you just have to play dead. You don't need fucking Xanax.
You
He's like, I
see how
can't do
people
it.
are though? That's just that inner trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's throwing up on every situation. That triggered his nervousness. I was actually at a mental health panel, right? I was at a mental health panel about 3.5, 4 years ago. And this lady who is an influencer, she has, I don't know, over 1 million followers on Instagram. So they got her to speak at this mental health panel. Okay. Let me just highlight that mental health. Okay. So she's speaking, but she's so nervous beforehand. She goes to the bar, she takes 5 shots, boom, 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 boom in a row. And I'm watching, I'm like, is this, am I in the right place?
My God.
Because I'm confused because she just went back there and now she's wasted and she's about to go talk about mental health right now.
Wow.
But that's the mentality of people. That shows you right there. If you need anything, any substance to be able to perform or just be you, then that should show you that something isn't right in there. Something's not right. You have to do some work to be able to be comfortable
Right.
in your own shoes at all times.
Right. And there's a difference between like I know I've heard Elisabeth talk about this too, like I used to party like a rock star and now when I go out, I don't really go out. I'm married with children and I mean, I could go out. If I go out with friends on the rare occasion, I'll have a good time, but I have no desire to be out and about. I get kind of anxiety when I do that. Now that's just the alignment that I'm in now, the vibration that I'm in now is not, it's not used to the chaos. And so I just listen to myself and so my intuition, and I know not to, I'm not going to go to a place that I'm not going to have a good time at, that's different than I think than what Elisabeth is saying, like you understand what I'm saying, Elisabeth?
Yeah. I mean, you can still go out and enjoy yourself and you don't have to indulge in any of the
Right.
stuff that you did back in the day. Basically. I mean, I don't have to do any of that anymore.
Right.
I don't have any want for that. And what you can really notice, if you find yourself wanting all these spikes. Because really, when you go out and you hang out and you do all these things, kind of live the dangerous life, you are kind of seeking that spike of adrenaline, that spike of cortisol, because that's giving you some sort of feeling, maybe a dopamine hit, from all of these different things. Maybe you're searching for those, your body is searching for those chemicals, right? So when you're filled up with trauma, stress, drama, you want that in your life. But when that stuff is cleared out, it's like, I can't even imagine being in some of the same places and same circles I was in before. I want peace.
I hear you. I can't even smoke weed anymore. I just don't like the brain fog. I mean, I love thinking clearly and being able to articulate myself. It's not that I don't like smoking weed so much, because I used to like it a lot, but I'd rather be clear-minded.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. If you're a person that's out here seeking the high life and that exciting, and you love the butterflies and all of this craziness, I mean, really, you should take a look in the inner worlds and see what's really going on in there. Because honestly, I can't imagine drama anymore. I don't have drama in my life.
Yeah.
Zero. And the minute I start feeling like I have drama in my life, whatever is causing that has got to go.
Thank you.
Because
yes.
I have major boundaries now. Major. I refuse to let that in. I create my own, I really I manifest everything that I want to manifest in my life. And if I feel like I'm manifesting the wrong thing, then it's for me to change that.
That's right.
I'm not going to let anybody else come in and bring that to my life. I won't allow it.
Damn right.
I feel so good all the time. And I just, I live my best life every single day.
You figured it out. I love what you're saying. It's incredible. And it's for people to realize that it is not only their responsibility, but it has always been. It is on them. You're oblivious for as long as you can be, and then once you start to realize that, yes, you are responsible for what is happening in your life, not your spouse, not your situation. You put yourself with those people and in those things. Okay, so now that you're aware of it, you can take stock of the situation and begin to change it, right? That's what conscious people do. They don't just stay in the loop and pray that something happens that spirals them out, because guess what? Wherever you end up, it's gonna reflect the same pattern. It's gonna reflect the same kind of chaos you had in your life, because you have not addressed the issue. You are like an allopathic doctor. You're addressing the symptom of the issue. Right. You got to go to the root if you want to change the pattern.
Yes, always the root cause. Figure out what the root cause is and deal with that within yourself. And it isn't very important. And it is everybody's responsibility to do the work, because that's the only way that this life and this earth and these people and we'll beat the system.
That's right.
That's the only way we can do it, is if everybody takes control of themselves and faces what is going on within them. Because it's too many unconscious people walking around here. Mm-hmm. I call them walking reactions. They're literally reacting to everything. You're not living your life. You're never really there. You're just reacting to all of this fake stimulus, because this isn't even real. This stuff isn't even real.
That's right.
You're literally just robotically walking around this life, never conscious, never making real decisions with true intention.
And thought.
So it's for everybody to do their own work. It's not for anybody to try to change anybody either. When I first woke up,
that's right. Oh, everybody goes through that.
I'm gonna wake everybody up. No,
like, this applies to you, motherfucker. It's like, no, you first.
That never works. But what does work is by doing the work on yourself and then providing an example and it be an inspiration for others to do the same thing. That's all I do. I live my life working on myself. That's literally all I do. I just work on myself. I work on myself. And by doing that, I've inspired other people to kind of grasp their lives and take control of their own stuff. And now those people are probably inspiring change in people around them.
Inevitably.
So chain reaction. So
that's how it works.
The more people start doing the work on themselves and facing that scary stuff, I mean, this world can change and we could be really, really great. We could actually walk into a golden age. I really feel like it's possible.
Absolutely.
But it takes us, and we have to take we have to take the reins and really, really make the change within ourselves, not everybody else,
That's
just
right.
within ourselves. And people I know, oh, I'm so scared and I don't want to face that. And no, why would I bring that back up? I mean, because the other side of that is so beautiful. I mean, it's magical.
It
We
is.
literally I manifest magical things on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Literally, it's wild. I was talking to Billy. Was talking the other day, like, oh, we need someone to wash cars. I was literally that was yesterday. I get out my car today to go to an appointment, and this guy's like, "Hey, you need your car washed?" And that was only one thing. And stuff happens repetitively all day long, because you become so clear within you. You get rid of all the trauma, the stress, the drama, and you can literally manifest things because your stream of consciousness is so clear and you're so
That's
aligned
right.
with your divine nature that magical things, boom, boom, boom. You ask for something, it's there, it's there, it's there. And it's possible. And these feelings of euphoria and ecstasy and happiness that I feel now don't it's nothing compared to, back in the day. I never thought I could be happy without a drug or
Right.
without alcohol. But I'm telling you, this feeling that I have now, I'll take a million times over any of that.
There's nothing that compares to it. I tell people often on my show here, thought, word, and deed. When you align with your center, when your idea of yourself, the ideal self, matches who you are, when there's no longer two lists, there's just one, and you're it, you will be floored on a daily basis by the things that happen in your life and by the magic that appears. I mean, that is the law of the universe. And it's hard for people to reconcile where they are with where they can be until you do. But once you start to experience it, there is nothing like it. If you're walking the path, be consistent. Don't let it go and then go back. Take it from me. Save yourself time. Take the fast track, because it gets hard to be consistent, and it gets easy to just be like, I really should be meditating. I really should be doing this. No, don't waste you're just putting it off. You're going to have to come back to it. Just stay with it, and then all of a sudden everything changes. Your whole vibration changes. The people who start showing up in your life change, and that is a beautiful thing. I mean, and Elisabeth has figured it out. And as soon as I met you, I thought I recognized you when I saw you at the conference, and I was like, wait a minute, she looks so familiar. And then when I met you, and you and Billy, you guys are amazing people. I'm so happy for both of you. And I've been a fan of Billy's for a while, and learning about you and your work. I know I met Billy, and I was like, you got to come on my podcast. He was like, yeah, man, we're going to make it happen. But when I learned about you, I was like, I want to speak to Elisabeth first, because your story is just incredible. So I'm so grateful for your time, and your wisdom that you shared on my show.
Thank you so much, Faust. It was so much fun talking to you. I appreciate that you have me on here. I appreciate all of the stuff that you're doing out here on these, in this world.
Thank you.
To make real change. So it's amazing.
Thank you. So do you have one more minute left? I want to ask you one more thing. It's my final question. So if you could whisper something into the ears of every person on the planet, right? And you could kind of rewrite some code for them, like maybe a mantra, or just like one piece of advice that you think that could change everything for them. What would you say to them?
Well, I love this quote. I have this in my book. It's a traumatic start in life does not have to be a life sentence. Because I thought when I was younger and I was depressed and I was going through all of these emotional things, and I felt I didn't have any hope that things could be different and that I could actually be truly, truly happy. So, I mean, I wish for people to know that you can be truly happy. You can feel good all the way through, not fake, not by drugs, not by alcohol, not by distractions, that you can actually feel whole, peaceful, and truly, truly feel the divine love that we're all supposed to, and create magic from that. It's possible for everybody, It's just, you have to go in and do the hard work. That's it.
What, can you say that quote one more time for me?
Yes. A traumatic start in life does not have to be a life sentence.
I love that. It's so true, no matter how bad it is. Thank you so much for your time, Elisabeth. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Faust.
You take
Chicho, right?
That's right, Chicho. You got it. You got it. Give my love to Billy. You know, I'm moving and I'm going to set up shop in Georgia, and I'm going to reach out to you guys then and see what his schedule is like. But this has been amazing. All my love to you guys. I love what you're doing. Have fun on your trip wherever you're going, and I'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye.